everybody. Welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie, Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie, Jessica.
So this is our 1 minute book recs. This is where we go over all the books we've read in the past week with 1 minute synopsises of each book. Before we get started with that, Mandy,
make sure you hit that subscribe button because we love to give away free books on our channel. And here's just a few of the things that we have planned for you guys coming up on our road to 2K giveaway. So hit that subscribe button so you are entered to win. And you can follow us over on Instagram for an extra entry.
Perfect. Okay, so how was your reading week?
It was good.
Yeah.
I just looked and I already forgot.
How many books you read?
Yeah, I read 7, but I have 6 to talk about. And I couldn't remember, is it 6 that I read and I have 5 to talk about? Or was it 7 and 6? So yes, I read 7, but only 6 to talk about because 1 is for my convincing, which will be out on Thursday.
Okay, I read 8. 2 of them were rereads. I'll still talk about them real quickly. But I had a book this week that will go down as a favorite of the year. So I'm excited to talk about that one when we get there.
All right.
So do you have the timer ready?
I do. Ready?
Yay!
Go.
Okay, hold on. I got to get my book because I'm trying to hold the book open.
Well, your timer started.
Oh, dang it. Mandy. Okay.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, so the first book that I did a reread of the first ACOTAR book. So in case you're one of the very few out there who haven't read this or you're like, I don't want to, let me just tell you real quick what it's about. So this is a fantasy. This is about Farah. She's human. She lives in the human world. One day she's hunting. She kills something, and then it leads to a fairy dude coming and being all mad at her and then taking her as his captive back to his fairyland. Now the land of Prithian. Let's just say she's not doing well with her family in this cabin. Mama's died. She's really young and taking care of her siblings. She does the hunting, and even though the 2 sisters are older than her, dad's got a bum knee. It's really not the best situation. So when the, dude from Prithian comes and steals her, he takes her to his magical kingdom with food and stuff. So it's not really that bad of a deal. But this leads into so much more, and there's so much more to this book. I'm kind of laughing at this and having to tell you guys because I know a lot of people have read it. But if you haven't read it and you want more of a serious synopsis, I'll give that to you. But it's ACOTAR. I just have been seeing a lot of ACOTAR edits lately, and I was like, oh, I feel the need. So I did. I re-listened. Yeah. Okay, so what was your first book of the week?
All right, my first book of the week is Dublin Inc. by Sienna Blake.
Okay.
Mouse is missing again. Okay, so this is about Orna and Connor. And Connor runs Dublin Inc., which is a tattoo shop, obviously. And he's kind of a grumpy guy. And Orna her home life is really, really sad and tragic. And she's kind of just done what she has to survive. And she, of course, gets into trouble. And she's now in a juvie program where she has to go do community service. And Connor's friend runs this program. So that's how he ends up with one of the probation kid, the juvie program kids in his tattoo shop working. She is supposed to just be helping, doing things like cleaning and all that, but she's pretty pushy and she wants to learn how to tattoo. And so she keeps kind of pushing him on that. She's younger than him, obviously, because she's still she's on juvenile probation. He's a grown man who owns his tattoo shop. So we have that forbidden love lust thing happening here. That was my timer.
Okay.
Oh, geez, that was loud. Sorry. It was muted and then it was really
loud.
I love Sienna Blake's Irish Kiss. I've loved several of her other stories. This one was just a 3 for me. He went too fast from grumpy guy to all of a sudden feeling for her. And it's supposed to be that he connects with her crappy home life. But it didn't go from oh my gosh, I want to help her. It was instant, I don't know. I just didn't follow the path very well of their budding relationship and feelings for each other, I guess you could say. I don't know. Anyways, so it was a 3. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't the best. And again, I really like some of her other books. So, sometimes things just don't work.
Yeah, sometimes it's okay. That's just a testament to the whole sometimes of what an author writes a book that you love and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
That's like the whole give them a second chance thing. So,
So, and again, if you're new to our channel, a 3 is simply like, I didn't really like it, but there's nothing horrible about the book. You might like it, you might not like it. I'm not
mhm,
like a 3 is like, you might like it, so go ahead and read it. If we
mhm,
read something a 2 or a 1, then we're kind of warning you away. But you
mhm.
know what? Sometimes other people's 2s and 1s turn out to be somebody else's 5. So,
Exactly. Exactly. So, okay. So the next book was the other reread. I read a Cora Riley book. Was it last week or the week before? And I just felt the need to be in her world again. I really love it. So I picked back up Bound by Hatred. I haven't read this one in a while. I like this one. And also I do have to say, like when you're reading, like you're to read them straight through, it gets hard because you relive the same scenes over and over again, just from a different perspective. But if you take a break and then go into it, then you're like, oh, okay. That's a refresher. So I'm just saying, take a break. Take a break in between. Okay, so this one is this. This is Gianna and Matteo's story. Matteo is the brother to Luca, who is the capo of the Familia in New York, and Gianna is his sister-in-law. Her sister is married to Luca. So Matteo kind of like Gianna's sassy. She's always in trouble. She's doesn't want to be part of the mafia world. She dances to the beat of her own drum. Like she wants nothing to do with this whole mafia thing. And she's really rebellious against that. Her dad is very abusive to her because of that. And Matteo like sees her as a challenge and he is all about that challenge. And so he arranges it so that they are put into an arranged marriage. And when Gianna finds out about that, she goes on the run. Like she wants to get away. And so she goes on the run. Like she ends up in Europe and she goes on the run. And Matteo goes hunting for his wife. So I forgot how much I really loved this book. Like I love Gianna as a person. So as a character. So
as a person,
as a fake person, I like her.
you're funny.
Okay, what's next for you?
Okay, next for me is Wicked Scandal by Rachel Lee. And this is number 2 in the Misfits. And this is about Catherine and Wilder. Catherine is a high school English teacher, and Wilder is her student. He's a senior, and we're kind of towards the end of the school year. And he has a social media account where he posts things, and she has been secretly following him under a different name and just really has kind of enjoyed his inspirational, uplifting posts that he does. She is also the mayor's wife, and the mayor is a very nasty man behind closed doors and is extremely abusive to her. It was actually difficult for me to read some of this, and I don't have triggers, but it was hard to read like how horrible her life was and the things that he would do to her. So it is on page, just an FYI. Wilder is the mayor's opponent's son as well. So there's a little bit of a conflict of interest, but Wilder really cares for her and has kind of developed a little bit more of a relationship with her. And it starts off very innocent, and he just genuinely cares for her and is concerned that things are not going well at home based on some interactions he's seen the two have. And he decides he should probably step in and, how that's going to go. So I really enjoyed this one. It was a solid 4. It just listed under sports romance, and I think the word football was mentioned like 4 times that Wilder played football. It's not even football season, so I don't really feel like it was a sports romance.
If we don't
But
see them playing the game or the sport, then it's not a sports romance.
yeah. So anyways, but this one is dark, so make sure you check your triggers.
I mean, I honestly think that's like me saying because I did Scottish Highland dance that this is a dance channel. And that's I mean, think about how ridiculous that is. Or that we did horticulture in high school, so this is a horticulture class or channel. Yeah. No. Okay.
Well, I could take my phone out and show some plant identification if
I can
you
still
want.
name a few. I can still name a few. Yeah. So I could make a mean boutonniere. So yeah. Okay. So the next book I read was Debt by Nina G. Jones. One of her books, Take Me With You, was one of my favorite books from last year, so I wanted to read this one as well. So this one is about Mia and tax. So Mia has a kind of a kink, like kind of a desire. She hasn't done it before. Her best friend comes to her and says, "Hey, I just did this and you should do it too." And it's to set up her own rape fantasy situation. It's through a VIP, like dark web, like her friend has a card, it's referral only basis. And so she finally gets drunk one night and takes the plunge and sets it up where you pay the money. This escort guy is supposed to attack you at a certain time on a certain day. Like you throw out a few of them and a few different scenarios, and then you don't realize it's them. Or you're not supposed to realize it's them, but there is a safe word, so she knows, like there's a code word so that she knows that this isn't the real deal. So she sets that up and sets that up to happen. In the meantime, we have Tax, who is our anti-hero here, and he is out for revenge, and he's out for revenge on Mia for something that she did. And so he actually wants to unalive her, like he wants to take her out. So he ends up buying the company. She works for a sex toy company, by the way. He ends up buying out the company just as she's made in charge of the company, and forcing her into a relationship in certain things. I love this book. It was a 5-star read. I could see it was fairly popular at one point. It's got like 20,000 ratings on Goodreads. So some people liked it at some point, but it's definitely triggers. There's some crazy stuff that happens in here, but it was so good. It was so good. So I don't want to give anything else away. Like I just don't want to give anything away, but it's good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So my next book is One Last Summer by Piper Rain, and this is the 0.5 novella before Plain Daisy Ranch series starts. So we have Jillian and Ben, and this is just a really quick, sweet novella. And it kind of just builds them as high school sweethearts and where they're at in their life at the end of summer when they're going to go their separate ways. And we kind of see then how things are going to fall apart for them, which just really sets up the next book. So yeah, Ben is going away on his football scholarship, and that's that.
Okay. Didn't even need that minute.
I didn't.
Okay.
I can subtract that time off all the times I go over.
You and me both. Okay, so the next book I read was one that was on my TBR for September, and it is Wife Number. Thank you. Wife Number 1 by Elle Thorpe. This is the first book. It's her newest release. It just came out like a week or so ago. And Elle Thorpe always typically writes in Why Choose. So we know that this is going to be a trilogy, and there's a book that comes out like in later September, then the last one is in October. So they're just boom, boom, boom. And anyhow, this one I really liked. So this is about Kara, and she is in this cult. Now, she went out into the world. She left this little cult, went out into the world. She got pregnant because of circumstances that happened in a different book, but you don't need to read that because I hadn't yet. I still figured it out. But she got pregnant, gave birth, came home with a newborn baby. And at that point in time, she was married to the prophet. So she is wife number 1 to their prophet. But they took her baby away from her and gave it to another woman to raise, her little girl. So the little girl's 5 now. Kara has yet to get pregnant, even though the prophet has been trying to impregnate her. She does not love this guy at all. He's got other wives. It's the whole thing. One night, she overhears the prophet is about to sell her daughter to the highest bidder, like a man outside of the cult. So she grabs her daughter and goes on the run. She ends up at her sister's house, there's a different book that's about the sister, but from there they end up in the MC because one of the guys that her sister's with is a part of an MC, and then one of the guys has to protect her who's in this MC, and so it does lead to an MC romance situation. But there's 3 guys. This ends on a massive cliffhanger, but it was good. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really liked this one a lot. And we don't really see the other 2 guys come into play here in a relationship. This has very low spice for what it is because it doesn't happen until way towards the end, but we're setting everything up. It was good. It was really good. Okay.
You love your cult romances.
I do. Probably need to see a therapist for that, but I really do.
Yes.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm sure this will be a shocking twist, but my next book was the first book in the Plain Daisy Ranch series, and this is called The One I Left Behind.
Okay.
So we have Jillian and Ben, and we're fast forward, I think about 15 years later. And Jillian has a 14-year-old son. So we might have fast forward like 16 years later. And Ben is just now retired from the NFL, and he has come home. And much to his dismay, his dad has made a big deal out of it. There's a parade. Everyone knows who he is and is very excited to welcome him back home. And the coach of the football, the football coach at the high school makes a few comments about how he owes his career to him and kind of gets him to come and help out coaching football, where Jillian's son also plays football. So Jillian is kind of really closed off to Ben because he really broke her heart. And he realizes that she is the one that he left behind. And so this is them trying to figure things back out now that they're both in the same town and everything. But, things are always a lot more complicated. So 4 stars.
Okay. All right. Well, after reading the cult book, I needed to know the sister's story. Shocking, right?
So you said that one left on a cliffhanger. So is the next book not the sister's book? She had a book somewhere else?
Yeah, she has her own trilogy. Each book is a trilogy that follows this.
Okay.
Each time Elle writes, it's always a trilogy, and it always follows the same set of characters for those 3 books. So the next couple that will come out from Elle this month in October is still Kara's
Everything
story.
she writes is in a trilogy. I've read some of her books that were not trilogies.
Yeah, and I actually talked with somebody, an author friend of ours that's a friend of hers this week, and I said, I don't know that I can wait. And she said that actually she takes the beginning half of the year and she writes the books, and then she releases them one after another like that, so that you get them all at one time, which is very smart way to do it. So very, very good.
Okay.
So I went to pick up.
You said that she writes all of her characters as a trilogy.
Yes.
But she doesn't. She has standalones.
But the majority of her books are in trilogies.
Okay. I was going to say, I've read not several. I read like 3 books by her, and none of those were trilogies. So just to clarify.
In her, I think I could be wrong. In her Why Choose, the majority.
That's where she does the trilogies?
Are the trilogies. Okay.
Well, that's why I've never read a trilogy by her.
That's probably why. Yeah, because I've only read Why Choose by her, and they've always been set in a trilogy. So as far as I know. So, okay. So this is the older sister story. So I went back to this one and started in the first book, and I'll continue on this week in this, but this is called Rebel Revenge. This is about, again, the older sister to the book that I started that ended on the cliffhanger and we're waiting for. So this is about Rebel, and she has a mom who actually had her at a really young age. And so she's been more of a friend than a mom. And the mom has come to her and said, hey, I'm getting married. I need you to be at my wedding. I'm so in love. This is going to happen. In the meantime, we back up just a tiny bit. Like when this book starts out, Rebel has actually just gone through a horrendous situation with, she was raped by more than one person, and she's still got the bruises. She's still trying to recover from that. But then a mom comes in and says, come to the wedding. Like, you have to come to the wedding. She goes to the wedding, and something bad happens to her mom and her stepdad at the wedding. And then the cops start pointing fingers, and they keep pointing fingers at Rebel. And Rebel she has a stepbrother situation going on. And then she has a guy at the MC and another situation going on here. And there's just a big mystery of what happened to mom. How did this happen? How did she get into their will before the parents were even married? Like, it's a whole thing. So this one doesn't end on a cliffhanger as well, but all 3 books are out. So I'm just going to keep on trucking. So I gave it a solid 4.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So my next book was a surprise drop by this author, and she dropped this just a few weeks ago. So I grabbed it to read, and that's Forever Writing You by Whitney G. And in this, we have Dahlia, whose mom has just passed away and has left her flower shop to her. And by flower shop, like, this is where they make the flowers. So maybe we are a horticulture channel, Jessica. They grow them there, everything. So it's like this huge acreage farm. And so Dahlia and her aunt are going to continue working there. Well, she gets um, some information that her ex who is now engaged, fiance, is cheating on him. So she decides to go ahead and send him an email and just let him know. He obviously is going to think that she's maybe being a little bitter and all of that. So this is the two of them now back in the same town because he has been away. He's coming back with his fiance. This is where they're going to live. And he's uber rich. So they're going to, it's like this big production wedding and all of that stuff is going to be happening. So this is, whoa, this
I know.
is him coming back and them having to see each other again and her, being like, yo, your fiance's cheating on you. So it's a novella. I really enjoyed it. I rated it a 4. It was good.
Okay. So the next book I went and picked up was Petras Bikers by Misty Walker. The audio just came out for this, so I was like, "Oh, let me read it." Scared the crap out of me, by the way. The prologue, and I'll explain that in a minute. I was messaging Misty, going, "I'm never letting my kids out of my sight again." Anyhow, so this one actually starts out with Petra. We know so. Petra was discovered in the first book, in Birdie's Biker. We know that she was in a sex trafficking ring situation. She had been trafficked herself, and she was in a very bad place. So this book starts out by telling us how she got into that place, how she was out at a club with her best friend. They were both taken, even though they were trying to be smart, and it was very scary. So that was a lot of fun. But anyhow, this is an MMF. This is about Petra and Moto and Sly. So Moto and Sly are a part of the MC where she's been living. They have been very good to her. They actually have a relationship and they have been together, even though like everybody suspects it, but nobody, like it hasn't been put out there quite yet. So she has like selective amnesia. She doesn't remember anything that happened to her before she was taken. And so there's that element that has to come into play. But there's a lot of things that happen here. This is more the relationship. This is a healing thing for her. This is a little bit of a revenge for her. And I really loved their relationship. I loved it a lot. So I gave this one a solid 4 stars. I really liked it. And I believe this is the last one in her Royal Bastards Reno. And then she starts the spinoff series. So
you were just all over your multiple partners
apparently that was a theme this week.
Yeah,
I didn't do that intentionally. It just seemed to happen. So
Sure.
It's all good. Okay, so what else you got?
Okay, my last book is the second book in the Plain Daisy Ranch series, and this is The One I Stood Beside by Piper Rain. So this is Sadie and Jude's story, and we see glimpses of them in the other one. So Sadie's dad has just passed away, and she finds out that the farm that they have is like he was in over his head with debt with it, and it's going to go up for auction very quickly if she doesn't do something. So like this is dire. This isn't like, oh, how are we going to make this payment? This is like, if we don't figure this out quick, we lose the whole shebang. So she tries to go to the bank to see if she can get a loan, and she does not have enough collateral. So the bank manager actually suggests that she could marry Jude, whose family owns the neighboring farm, and that would work. He could co-sign if they were married, then she would be able to get this farm. And she actually saved the farm. And she actually leaves thinking, like, what kind of bank manager suggests this? And so Jude and Sadie have been best friends since they were little, and it's a very sweet, loving story. I really, really enjoyed it. And it is a marriage of convenience story, friends to lovers type story as well. And there's this funny part where they end up having to go see a sex therapist because they're trying really hard to make sure that people think that this is going to be a real marriage. And this was provided to them. And so they go with the sex therapist is talking to them and having them do some like yoga type moves. And he gets aroused, and the sex therapist makes a comment. His name's Jude. She makes a comment about little Jude. So funny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so again, I really enjoyed this one. I rated it 4 stars too.
Okay.
So I just had a 4-star week apparently.
Apparently. Yeah.
With a 1 3-star.
Okay. All right.
And
Well, I
you
still
just got those 5 stars going. And you
I
still have
do.
another book to talk about, right?
I have 2.
2 more. Oh,
2
I thought
more.
you said you weren't talking about something. Never mind.
No, I just said I would talk quickly about them.
Oh, okay. Oh, that
Yeah.
was your 2 rereads. That's what you were saying. Never mind.
So.
Okay.
Okay. So this next one was an arc that I had. And the audio and the book are actually out right now. And I listened to a little bit of the audio, and oh my God, the audio is amazing. So this is The Devil Himself by B.B. Easton. This book is going to go down as a favorite for the year. I'm telling you right now. You have to have read The Devil of Dublin before you read this book. Otherwise, you are not going to understand half of what's happening in here. So this is the second book in that it's just a duet. You have to read it. So this is about Clover and Damien. So yes, the characters are different, but they all tie in together. So this is about Clover and Damien. Clover is from Ireland. She lives on an island there in Ireland, and she lives with her father, who is a fisherman, and he's not nice to her. Her mom died when she was young, and she is treated poorly because of it, because she reminds her dad of her mom. And then we have, and she's been made fun of. She's been called Crazy Clover her whole life because she questioned whether her mom was a Silky or not. This actually brings in that Irish folklore, just like the first one did. And so the townspeople call her crazy. The kids she went to school with are cruel to her. And then you have Damien, who is in the, he's part of the Bratva. The Bratva actually invade Ireland in this book. And he is a part of that. Things that happen. There's war breaks out. Damien's injured and she nurses him back to health, even though she doesn't necessarily want to. And then a whole bunch of other stuff happens. Like, I can't even tell you what this is about without giving away the first book that leads into this one. But when I tell you that B.B. Easton like ripped my damn heart out in this book, and then she like started stuffing stuff back into my open chest cavity. It was just very interesting. I loved it so much. It's obviously 5 stars. I mean, it was just amazing. So it will be on my top reads of the year. Which Devil of Dublin was in my top reads from last year, so that makes sense.
I ordered that from her.
Devil of Dublin? Devil?
Yeah, I don't remember. I did a bunch of pre-orders for all the upcoming events we're going to, and I don't remember. Is she at Rain City?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been talking with her this week about it because I ordered The Devil Himself in the hardback edition, which you can get on Etsy from her Etsy shop. You can get it directly from her. The Devil of Dublin in the hardback has pictures of the places, like actual pictures of the places that the book features in Ireland and of certain things that happened. And so I wanted to make sure that the hardback of The Devil Himself had that as well, which it does. So I'm excited to meet her. So we have a few Instagram messages from her.
And that's only in the hardback?
Only in the hardback. Paperback doesn't have that.
I probably ordered the paperback.
You could message her.
Okay.
We already have that connection with her in our Instagram.
Okay. Do your next book. I got shit to do.
Okay.
Go message
all right.
her.
So
hey, timer's going.
My last book is Lost with You by Anna Lenore. This is about our heroine, who is Cora. She owns a catering business, and like she caters to the stars when they're on set. And that is where she runs into Liam. She's always had a crush on Liam. He is like this big up and coming actor, and he does like Patrick Swayze dance kind of stuff, right? In his books or in his movies. And so she meets him one day on set, and he compliments her sandwich, and she's just, swoony. And then the next day, she and her best friend board a plane, or at least they're supposed to board a plane to go to New Zealand to visit the best friend's aunt. When they get to the airport, the best friend is told that they don't have a seat for her, but they're going to put her on the next flight out in first class. But Cora still goes on this first flight. And then the engines catch on fire and the flight goes down. And she and surprisingly Liam, who is on that flight, are the only two to survive, and they survive on an island. And this is their story. It is a part of a duet. I haven't read the second half. The second half happens after they're rescued, but I gave it 4 stars. All right. Anyhow, that was our week.
That was.
Okay.
All right, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us, and hit that notification button so you always know when we drop extra videos. And leave us some comments. How's your reading week going? What you reading? Tell us all the bookish things.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.